Final part. We made it. Hopefully in this video I can give you a good idea of what the future of marketing could be, but before that, let's make sure we go for an important part of marketing in itself. Privacy and trust. Understanding our audience comes with understanding who they are, what they like, how they behave. It's the way businesses function and make decisions, but understanding that comes with customer data, and we need to ask customers for that. So hopefully they say yes. In my AI video, I mentioned the ethical concerns to do with data collection, and that the best way to be ethical with this is to have total transparency and give users the option to opt out if they wish. As a result, you will find the audience that accepts their data being collected and used. You will find the audience that wants personalization, like product recommendations, and doesn't mind the exchange in doing so. Sometimes it's not as simple as having the data, because at the end of the day, you need to build trust with your audience. Privacy and trust go hand in hand. You're most likely to trust someone that respects your privacy and doesn't push to use your personal information. Repeated positive interactions with a business can build this trust over time, not just with data, but with that business delivering on their promises, all of which will help contribute to increased sales and an improved reputation. But in the gaming industry, 51% of consumers globally do not trust video gaming platforms with their personal data. Why is that? Well, there's a few reasons to why. I'll start with data usage. Many companies use customer data for targeted advertising, and it's no different here. For this industry, there is a lot that can be collected. Not just demographic and locational data, but activity within a game, the time you spend on certain actions, as well as emotional and body tracking. Said to be focused on entertainment value, users often overlook the privacy breaches that can happen. And the industry isn't immune to data breaches, where large amounts of data being stolen where there is vulnerability. For instance, in 2019, Epic Games revealed that a flaw in the login system of Fortnite caused hackers to impersonate players and purchase in-game currency with the payment methods connected to accounts. This was due to an old, unsecured website and issues to do with authentication. As a result, Epic Games strengthened the security on the sites and accounts, but later that year, FDA's a lawyer company filed a lawsuit for monetary damages. While Fortnite still has an active player base, it shows that there aren't just reputational consequences, but legal ones too. Businesses have a responsibility to manage data correctly, carefully, and respectfully. Not following data laws like GDPR or not reporting data breaches can lead to fines of millions of pounds. Depending on the severity, it could even impact a business's global turnover if that is great enough to cover the damage. So, if we communicate and secure data effectively, it should be good, right? But that itself needs to be done with care. How do we communicate best without overwhelming customers with information? Well, it's all about being proactive, providing information ahead of time, accessibly, like on the company's website, and then being transparent with consumers. Giving them choice with their data, showing that they are in control. You shouldn't overload them with messages, confusing words, or tick boxes with accept all, reject all, etc. Make it easy. Because instead of going after the benefits of personalization, go after the benefits of consumer trust. In the end, they're gonna be the same things. Customers feel valued, like their needs are respected, and a business will increase their sales and retention. If you do this, it acts as a competitive advantage. A customer who trusts you with their data is more likely to give their money to you over someone who does not hold that trust. Online and mobile games are often at the heart of these issues, as they have a greater ability to collect data. Like I mentioned before, demographical and locational data are very easy to acquire, often when users have to accept to be able to play a game in the first place. While most use data just for advertising, others encourage users to share information about themselves and others just to get in-game rewards. This might push people away from playing, but some may find the entertainment value as a higher reward over the risk of their personal data. Some consumers don't read permissions or are simply not aware of this. Companies may use their own tactics to get people to play their games again, such as with addictive gameplay loops and in-game purchases. Now, if you ask anyone to talk about privacy and trust, the focus will be on data, and of course that makes sense, but I want to take trust in a different direction though, because There is a fine line in this industry. How can we trust that these companies aren't just trying to get money out of us, let alone our data? That'll make sense soon. I'm just gonna go through a few different ways that this industry tackles with the fine line of trust and profit. And the first is with DLC. DLC, or downloadable content, is additional digital content that a player can add to their game after the initial purchase. This can come in the form of cosmetics, levels, music, story campaigns, challenges, weapons, and so much more. Sometimes this will be free, but often content is locked behind a paywall. If you offer extra content and updates for free, it's going to please your audience and improve your reputation. If you offer lots of content anyway, it's still building engagement and excitement for a game and makes the life of the game longer, so the game stays relevant for longer. Though putting DLC behind a paywall, as it often is, can disappoint consumers who are either waiting for the content or unsatisfied with the price. Let me give an example. Persona 3 Reload, released in 2024, is a JRPG that is actually a remake of its original installment in 2006. The original game has been released several times in different editions which have their own content exclusive to those versions. One of these versions is called Persona 3 FES, which is an expanded version of the original with 30 hours of extra content, in an additional story titled Episode Igus: The Answer. It's kind of an epilogue to the original story, which was titled The Journey. So that's the context, but when Persona 3 Reload was announced as a remake, consumers expected the additional content from the previous games to be included. This is a good reason why you need to manage expectations. This includes communicating effectively and early. It's the case for a lot of aspects in business, not just with content, but with data privacy and anything else that can involve the consumer. But it still broke the trust of some people because they felt like they weren't getting the true definitive experience that was being portrayed. I mean, later the additional content did get added as DLC, or paid DLC, which didn't exactly go down well with those expecting it to be free, just like in the original, but even part of the base game. Others who bought the definitive, more expensive pre-order editions also felt it shouldn't be priced that high. To tackle the issue, Atlas, the developers, offered music and cosmetics as part of the DLC package, which some assume was just to justify the price tag. The main issue was, how can consumers trust that this DLC will actually be worth the money and truly represent the original experience? Well, in the end, the experience was justifiable, but some still believe the price tag wasn't. All this says is that sometimes consumers will have expectations of what a business should do. You don't want to disappoint your audience because they could instead go to a competitor that delivers. It's up to a business to communicate and be clear with what they are taking and what they are giving. But that's just the surface of building and breaking trust. There's two other ways that are very notable in the industry, and that is with the gacha and battle pass systems. Monetization is a significant problem that causes players to spend real money in order to receive in-game items they couldn't attain otherwise or would lose out if not purchased in time. These systems take advantage of the fear of missing out, from which people are incentivized to spend money and keep coming back to the game. This may seem like a good business strategy to keep games relevant, give them a long lifetime value and player count, and earn money when they offer games for free, but it's almost predatory in the way these systems function. If you're a fan of mobile games, it's not unlikely you've heard of the gacha system. Gacha games often have collectibles that players can pull or spin for, in the hopes that they can receive the rarest drops of items and characters. On the surface, it seems harmless. These systems are often placed in free-to-play games, so companies need another way to make money, and that is through these pools or through the currency to use it in the first place. Sometimes the rarest collectibles will only be accessible through currency that must be purchased with real money, unattainable otherwise. Thus, the fear of missing out kicks in. Such as with limited time events like during collaborations that will most likely never run again. Even if they run all the time, within these games there are certain rarities to these collectibles, being common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, legendary, etc. The companies set these rarities so that consumers have to spend more money to get what they want. It gets people back to the game when there are time-limited and exclusive events, extending its lifetime, but ultimately it sets an identity for the game company being greedy or stingy. In the same way, some games function seasonally, more specifically with the Battle Pass. This is a sort of level-up system where players unlock rewards as they play more. It's good. The progression system is rewarding. Players earn rewards as they level up. But of course there's a bit of a catch. Usually, the best rewards are locked behind the premium battle pass, and these items are usually better, it's easy to tell. The thing is, you have to purchase this battle pass either with in-game currency that you purchase with real money, or just with real money. While the gacha system can run all the time, battle passes usually only last for one season, so 1 or 2 months. Once the season is over, so are the rewards, so why not spend more money to get the better rewards? Otherwise, you'll never be able to get them again. It's that idea of missing out that is the basis of those systems. Customers buy more from it. It feeds into compulsive buying and the psychological behavior people have when making purchases. And these systems usually exist when the game itself is free. It's no doubt that in-app purchases have a negative perception. I mean, companies like EA are known as being greedy because they stick in-app purchases in a lot of their games. It kind of becomes associated with the brand, which isn't really good for their image. So why lock content behind further purchases? Well, for mobile games, free games are purchased more than paid, so a company needs to find other ways to make money. In-app purchase is one of the most common forms of monetization, so it is likely that loads of companies are going to use it in the future because of the amount of revenue it makes. Pair that with people buying free games more than paid games, and it's just a model that will continue to grow and continue to be used. However, I don't think all content should be locked behind a purchase because of that. If you are telling customers your game is free to play, you should stand by that. Otherwise, you're kind of deceiving customers with expectations. I think in the case of these gacha and battle pass systems, it's good to give customers other ways to earn the currency for free, if not anything else. It should be that paying real money just gives you more of a chance, rather than giving things outright. Though, it's an argument itself as to if the price of that would actually be worth it. I think some battle passes are good in which you can actually obtain enough paid currency through the free system, but it might take a couple seasons before you actually have enough for a full premium pass. It takes longer than just paying outright for the currency, but again, if you wait, you get it for free. A game that is actually improved on the system is something that released recently called Marvel Rivals, where once you purchase the premium battle pass, you get to keep it. No limitations that feed into consumer vulnerability or fear. It creates a positive perception of the brand. In-app purchasing in general may seem greedy, but there are some cases where it makes sense, such as with removing ads. Many free mobile games have ads, but that's usually because they have to make money somehow. It makes sense that they would then charge to remove these ads. And then, console and PC games often have DLC. If the experience of the base game is good enough, people will buy your DLC. It might seem annoying sometimes that content is locked behind a paywall, but often developers do spend more effort and time to get this extra content out. The thing is, they could just release the base game as the full experience, but they offer more as an option. DLC is good that is an optional choice. Rather than adding the price to the base game, it's additional if you want to pay that. There's no rarities or time limitations, you know what you will or will not get with a purchase, but there is a competitive advantage in offering things for free, just like there's one for being transparent with your audience. So with all of this in mind, what does this have to do with consumer trust? Well, such as with data privacy, there are ethical concerns. In-game purchases have been shown to have a danger to young children, often when there are no barriers to spending this money. Many game companies have negative associations because they charge users for more content. Microtransactions within games that exploit consumers' fear of missing out. Customers being disappointed by expectations. It's all of these factors that contribute to mistrust within the industry. Data privacy is just the surface of holding trust within the gaming industry, because it's not as simple as making things free for customers. Something has to give, and that might not be something to do with data or transactions. It's caused by employee layoffs in the industry, unionization, exploitation and scandals. There's being private and secure with our data, but what else are companies being private about? How do we know these companies care about us, the consumer, rather than just making money? Well, as a consumer, you don't. Unless you know Phil from IT or something, I don't know. As a consumer, I want to enjoy these games as much as I can, but as a marketing student, I can't help but recognize how wrong it all feels. The manipulation, the psychological analysis, all of it's to get your money. But there are people who genuinely love to make games, and there are people like me who love to play games, so I guess we can all work to make things a little better. Set expectations, deliver on promises and be transparent, and maintain your relationships. Well, And then that just leaves me with a big question. What is the future of marketing in the gaming industry? Well, it's trust. I can sit here and say it's about being transparent, understanding what your audience wants, etc. And it's kind of simple, but we know that if your consumers trust you, they stay loyal, they make more purchases, avoid competitors. If I trust a company to deliver on the game I expect, I'll buy it. If I think I'll have a good experience, whether the game is good or bad, I'll buy it. If I don't trust you'll give me those things, I won't give you my money. It's personal preference, really. I think creativity, diversity, AI, emerging technologies, community, and privacy all have a place. If you watch all my videos, I always talked about authenticity and trust. It goes back to that. So, the future of marketing is about trust. Not just in this industry, but everywhere. Well, if you've gotten this far in my video, I didn't script this part. If you didn't know, I scripted everything else, but if you've watched this far, thank you. This took way too long, many hours of writing and editing, all for a uni assignment, but it was a good challenge, and I really enjoy video editing and just talking about my favorite games, because I was just able to talk about my favorite games. That was great, but sticking all the marketing stuff in there too was kind of just combining everything I'm doing right now. So really rewarding, and if you've watched everything, thank you. It's definitely a good experience. I'm gonna try. Maybe I'll do this in the future. I don't know, but I'll definitely try and improve, work hard, as I always do. But yeah, again, thank you. Subscribe, that's what people say at the end of these videos. Goodbye. Thank you.